how this township is going to regulate, say we get 500 of them in the next 5 years. How is anybody gonna regulate that? Like I say, the building department can't even regulate what they have. Thank you.
Thank you.
C. William Bardell, 37865 Point Rosa. What I want to say is, you'll never know what it's like until you live next to one of these short-term rentals. I mean, the owners, yes, they are business people, yes, they are very charming, very good English, they know how to talk, they have creases in their pants, they get the pants creased, they got crisp laundry, yes. They speak very well, yes. But if you ever had to deal with them, yeah, they're very charming, but guess what? They're a pain in the, they're in the glutes, let's say, okay? Okay, they're a pain in the glutes. Very charming, yes, they want to work with us. But you know what? You live next to one, you see what it's like. Yes. When you move in a residential neighborhood, you know the rhythm of your neighborhood. I know when my neighbor lady's gonna come with her dog to poop on my tree. I know when the same 4 guys are gonna be drinking beer in their garage on Friday night. I'm living in a neighborhood. This is a neighborhood. This is a community that you invest in. This is not a hotel district. Okay? I know when the lady's gonna come down the street with the baby buggy. I know when the little kid's gonna drive down. There's a rhythm to your neighborhood. Okay? I know if I'm fishing in the backyard at 9:30 in July, the guy 2 doors down is gonna blast his boat stereo for a half hour. The guy canal behind me is gonna blast his disco for a half hour. And we're all gonna go to bed at 10 o'clock. It's the rhythm of a neighborhood. We moved into a community. We didn't move into a hotel district. We live in a neighborhood. We know the township. That's why we bought in residential. Okay? That's what the thing is. Okay? These people are very charming. Like I said, crisp laundry. They got creases in their jeans. They get them pressed. They're very, very well spoken. Okay? But they're a pain in the butt. Okay? Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Hello, Chris Lopez, 37865 Malist, no jeans, no pressed, family person taking care of my daughters, running a business to afford a home for them to have in this community once they become adults. I applied for my permit earlier in the week to have work done in my house. I have contacted this board to work with you guys on regulation. The amount of ignorance and fear mongering I hear from this community all the time is ridiculous. For one, I hope those that voted against us never stay in a residential district ever when your family needs a vacation. Because why would it be fair for you guys to stay at a short-term rental if you're not gonna allow it and turn your back on us? We try our best to make this community as beautiful as possible and as fruitful for everybody. There is so much false information coming from the same couple people every time we come here. Like, I should be at work right now, but I'm here because we care about our homes and the community. It's really a shame. Thank you for your support, and your support. We're here every month for this. Why aren't you here for us? Thank you.
Mary Drapeau, 41492 Blackamora. I have a short-term rental that's behind me, and I've had a few issues, but nothing that's been gigantic. But what I've noticed from people that do live by short-term rentals, because I have some friends that do, it's the short-term rentals that are being rented out by the weekend that seem to be a bigger problem. If the short-term rentals is specified in your criteria for a 30-day, you can have 30-day short-term rentals. You don't get the issues of the 25 people being there for the weekend having a party for whatever it happens to be. Because when it's a 30-day rental, that doesn't happen. It's not a party place or something like that. So most of the issues that I've heard about short-term rentals have come when they've been like weekend rentals or 3-day rentals. So if you specify a time on your short-term rentals, it's like they can only be for 30 days or more, then a lot of your problems go away.
Thank you. Hello again for the fourth time. I just want to reiterate some of the things we discussed in the last 4 meetings that we've all attended. One, HOAs, they are allowed to ban them, as Ventura has, Point Rosa can, HPHA can. So if there are anybody here that lives in an HOA, I highly suggest also discussing these things with them. I believe Ventura has already banned them, if I'm not mistaken. For every city someone named here just a moment ago, I can name an alternate city that allows them. I'm personally going on vacation. I'm taking my mother on her bucket list trip to Sicily, and guess what? All of our lodging, all 4 places, all Airbnbs, no problems. It's gonna be great. I did send a note. I don't know all the ins and outs of lodging tax or tourist tax, but that is an option to generate funds for our township. I think we should be looking into it, and I think it should be on that list, right, that you had displayed earlier. That could go directly to our Harrison Township residents. And I don't think we should look over a money generator for this township. In the same vein, we need tourism. How are we gonna have tourism? There is no lodging in Harrison Township again, except for the Ruth Motel. I personally am never sending my parents there, my family, nobody. The fishermen cannot stand going up to Gratiot. Our short-term lodging is directly adjacent to our property. We have 0 issues with those fishermen. 99% of our guests are fishermen. They get up early, they come home early, and they go to bed. And we never hear a peep from them. We have more problems with Boattown Marina that is on our canal. We have a lot more problems with them than any other thing in this township. In regards to safety, I kind of find that kind of humorous. If you've ever stayed at an Airbnb, you know they're all have to abide by the safety rules. COs, smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, all of the above. We personally don't have exit signs, but now that I've researched a little bit more, we are putting exit signs up in ours. Especially during a regulation, we should have that. And again, we don't have parties. We have a 900 square foot little bungalow that the fishermen come in and they bring their bass boat and off they go. So, and our neighbors have written into the planning commission, and again, 0 issues. Our neighbors have no issues with our short-term rental. And again, the reason we bought the house next door is because my parents can no longer go to the upstairs bedroom at our primary property. So when they come to Harrison Township, their hometown, since I was 3 years old, they stay there. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, so we have a motion by Member Commonwealth.
Mike Riley, 41165 Conger Bay Drive. I lived on Conger Bay since I was 8 years old, so a long time. Conger Bay is turning into an alley. All these enforcement people, or all this money you're gonna make for 24 houses, you're not gonna make it. These enforcement people, I got in front of everybody's garbage, well, not everybody, but probably 50% of the people on our street, we got these giant garbage cans, fluorescent green and yellow, nobody puts them away. I come in here, I talk to the enforcement officer, ask them, could we make it so it's, somebody said something about noise pollution, that's site pollution. You got garbage cans all up and down, roads crumbling, now the marinas won't fix the roads. They want the residents to do it. When we got 50-foot boats and lowboy trailers and giant gas, hauling gas down there, crumbling up the road. Now we got garbage cans all over the place. Because when I talk to the enforcement people here, they're like, what can we do? If we give them a ticket, they won't pay it. Like you said. We can't do anything. We can't enforce anything, we can't do anything. If we got 24 houses and somebody wants to make some money, that's great. But when I came in to put my card in that I received in my mailbox and I circled no short-term rentals, when I threw it in the bucket, I looked in there, there were cards that deep. So 24 people supersede, how many people are in Harrison Township? 25,000? There was one doing it across the street for me on Conger Bay. I woke up in the morning, cans all over the place. Yes, some of them I'm sure they take care of, fishermen by nature take care of things. There was beer cans all over the place, half-pint bottles all over the place. The guy beat on my door at 11 o'clock, I don't know who the heck he was, asking if he could park in my driveway. We don't need that. We don't need that ridiculousness. I heard somebody drowned in one of the canals that was a part of one of these. Can I prove it? I don't know. No, I can't. But I heard, everybody on Congress, nobody wants that. Nobody in Harrison Township wants it. You got a lot more cards that say people don't want this. Yeah, there's a few people that want to make some money off of a house that they bought. But the majority, how much taxes do we pay compared to the rest of the, Michigan? We're one of the highest tax areas. Don't have no street lights on my street, don't have any sidewalks. Just tax and tax and tax. But what do we get? Now we're gonna dump some people that don't care if they're next to you. They don't care if it's 3 in the morning and they're hooting and hollering and throwing cans all over your yard. I think you should really think about this. You might have some friends that want to have a short-term rental. That's great. But what about the majority of the residents? What do they want? The majority should have a greater weight than 3 and 3.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, we have a motion by Member Tominello, supported by Member Duncan, to send both options to the Township Board for their direction on how they'd like to move forward, as recommendations. Does this require a roll call? Okay, just making sure.
On the
I'm gonna have to
discussion,
get a list. Yes,
how will
would you?
will there be a write-up that will be presented that will say that consensus couldn't be reached or something like that?
No, just the motion.
It's a motion to
Just
send
the
both
motion,
options.
this document with the additional items that I noted in the minutes that need to be addressed for option 1. And then they can discuss it, they can make it a regulatory ordinance, they can send it back to us once they decided which way to go. So there's a few different avenues that we
Yeah.
can.
I understand, I just wondered if, the fact that no consensus on either one, that would be
It's a recommendation,
communicated.
so it's perfectly fine.
And Member Tominello, as our liaison to the Township Board, I'm sure can make them aware, and also the meeting is public. I would assume that have probably been watching all these discussions to see what we're talking about before it makes it to them, so I would assume they're pretty aware. But
Okay. You know what they say about assumptions.
I do.
Thought I'd mention it.
No, I understand.
Some of the items, Larry, and it's somewhat academic because we're sending both options to the board anyways, so it's nitpicking and everything. But some of the things you were poking at, specific option 1, are actually somewhat even to option 2 too. Definition of STR, I mean, there's other things in there that were just common, but the board will just have to address that by defining some of those activities.
Exactly, so I guess if I sort of try to explain what might happen, they'll review this, they'll say, hey, what do we want to do after discussion? When it gets down to the details, that's where they may send it back to us. Say, we want you to go with option 1, or we want you to go with option 2. Here's some more details, this is what you defined, and we came up with 5 other ones. So, work with the planner, incorporate it in there, and then send it back to us. The other option is they discuss it, they perform actually not a workshop, they'll actually discuss it at a meeting, they'll come up with a solution, and if that's the case, and they want to turn it into a regulatory ordinance, it will go to Rosemary, she'll take care of composing the regulatory ordinance, they'll go back, and then at that point, it's out of our hands. So the board will take care of it if it goes to regulatory.
Any additional discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, new business.
Accessory buildings regulations discussion.
Planning Commission members, at the last Planning Commission meeting,
One second, we still are conducting a public meeting, we don't have the luxury of microphones tonight, so please ask that all noise be kept quiet, please.
at the last Planning Commission meeting, prompted by a recent zoning board of appeals case, The planning commission directed me to prepare potential zoning ordinance amendments related to accessory buildings, specifically boat wells, covered boat wells, as the ordinance calls them. Right now, section 5.02 of the zoning ordinance limits the total number of detached accessory buildings and the total combined size of accessory buildings. Presently, covered boat wells, as defined in the ordinance, count toward the total number of accessory buildings allowed. However, covered boat wells on the water, per the ordinance, do not count toward the total combined size of accessory buildings allowed. When it was brought up, and one of the ZBA members actually shared this with us at the last meeting, the planning commission discussed briefly and tentatively generally agreed that maybe boat wells, provided they're of the open air or unenclosed kind, should not count toward either the maximum number or size of accessory buildings. However, if the boat well is enclosed, like a boat house, I guess would be the term, it should count that toward the number and size of accessory buildings. So we have prepared, and we have in the draft, some potential amendments. To this section of the zoning ordinance. First to the definition, so that's obviously always important. So what does the ordinance mean when it uses the term covered boat well? So right now the ordinance does not define a covered boat well. It does define a boathouse, and you could see it in black. The red is proposed language. So a boathouse is a structure with sides for the storage, shelter, and simple routine maintenance of a privately owned boat and not used to serve the public for revenue, public storage, or maintenance purposes. So it's not a commercial building, it's a residential building. A boathouse is, distinguished from a covered boat well, which contains no sides. So although there isn't a definition for covered boat well, it's kind of mentioned or referenced that there's a boathouse. And a boathouse does not include a covered boat well, which is distinguished from a boathouse because a boat well has no sides. So that's a little bit silly, so we probably ought to add a separate definition for boat well, covered. Covered boat well is a structure with no sides that is used for the storage, shelter, and essentially it's the same as above, and a covered boat well is distinguished from a boathouse, which contains sides. Interestingly, the term boathouse really isn't used elsewhere in the zoning ordinance. But the covered boat well term is used in multiple places in this accessory building section. So right now, as I said, under general requirements for accessory buildings in residential districts, there's a minimum of 2 detached accessory buildings shall be permitted per property, but then the language says covered boat well shall not count, or covered boat well shall count toward the number of detached accessory structures prohibited. So if you have a covered boat well, which the ordinance defines as not having a side, it currently says that, yeah, that's one. If you have maximum of 2, that's one of the 2. And that was, what was that issue with the variance request? I think they had a covered boat well and a gazebo or something like that, and they wanted another one, but they weren't allowed. So based on the premise or the thought from last month that, hey, an open air, unenclosed boat well should not count toward the total number of detached accessory structures permitted. But we could now clarify that a boathouse, which is enclosed, you had said boathouses should count toward the number of detached accessory structures permitted. So that's what the language would look like, following that line of thought. And then later, where we talk about the size requirements, again, the total floor area of all accessory buildings,
We don't allow detached.
including attached garages, shall not exceed 2/3 of the floor area of the principal building. So previously, the size was addressed by this language here. Exception, covered boat well shall not count toward the maximum allowable square footage permitted under this section. So it means that provision, that's later on. Portions of boat wells built over land shall be included in the maximum allowable square footage calculations. So, to carry over similar language, what you could say as it relates to the total combined area of accessory buildings, you could say, covered boat wells, again, no sides, shall not count toward the maximum allowable square footage permitted under this section. However, boat houses shall count toward the maximum allowable square footage permitted under this section. So, yeah, I wanted to share this with you based on the discussion last month and gauge your thoughts on this. Ultimately, if you wanted to move forward, we need to hold a public hearing on this. We have not done that.
So I guess the only thing I'm struggling with is no definition of no sides. And here where I'm going with that is we have covered boat wells that have a roof only. We have covered boat wells that have a 3-foot side down from the roof. We have covered boat wells that may have a 4-foot side, and then you have covered boat wells that may have a full side. So I think you need to add, somewhere you need to say roof only to eliminate anyone who has a reveal of more than the roof, right? Does everyone understand? Because a lot of them have, they'll come down from the roof that far, right? Well, that's, to me, that's a side. So you're saying no side, so it's not defined.
Yeah.
And there are several that have storage up in that area.
That's right,
Yes.
right. So I guess, I'm thinking somebody who has a metal frame with a canvas top, it's pretty basic to me, it falls right under here. And you can get more complicated, so we just have to be very definite.
And for the benefit of the two members that weren't able to be here last month, it's this gentleman that's on Seaway. He has basically just the covered boat well
Yeah.
with just the top.
Okay.
And he wanted to put in a shed, wasn't allowed to, ended up having, I think, purchase trailers to put his, would be his option, which I think is a terrible option.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to this too, because I was
Yeah, I
at
was
the
gonna say-
ZBA
I was
meetings
gonna
where
mention,
this
you
came
brought
up.
it up, asked us
Yeah.
to discuss it, happened to be that you were here.
Rob,
Leonetti
I
was here,
talked to
so we
Rob,
invited him to
and he
speak.
wanted to come,
Yes.
and
So I think this is a
he's
good
a
route to
lawyer,
go.
so he, I'm sure, spoke eloquently. But I've thought about this a lot, and, we limited the number of boats and stuff we wanted stored on people's driveway, and a lot of conversations came up at the ZBA about, he's got this nice shed that he put in, but his neighbor has 10 deck boxes that look like they're falling apart, and I think this helps us continue to get to, we know in Harrison Township, people have a lot of stuff, a lot of toys, and continuing to clean up the look of our neighborhoods. I hate to tell someone to take down a shed that matches their home and fits in with the neighborhood to bring a trailer that they're gonna keep permanently on their driveway, which is allowed by our ordinance.
Yeah, I think this is a good route.
I agree as well, I just, again, seeing as member town, know a little bit more on the definition. Cause I was thinking the same thing, the people that have kind of a storage facility on one end,
Yeah.
and there are some left that have basically deck on top. So, to me, that goes beyond just a roof, now it's usable space on top, so. If it is just a roof and open air, that's, to me, is a covered boat well, anything beyond that, now, may not be a boat house facility structure beyond a covered boat well,
And that's the way we can be defined.
yes.
Yeah, pictures are
The
good.
picture
That's good.
in the section.
Yeah, like we did with the
You know,
fence.
Okay.
This is what
That
it looks
helped with
like, there
fence.
shall be
Yeah.
no sign, that nothing
Okay.
shall protrude down more than 3 feet, or whatever you guys decide it is,
No,
but
it would be none.
it's always,
Yeah.
or no, yeah,
That's
it
a
only
lot
looks
of
like
them
this.
have.
Yeah,
Because they do that for Sun Company, as the sun sets, right, they put that up there, and it's,
yeah.
to me, it's more than a roof. So
Yeah.
we just need to define side,
Yeah.
no side.
Even a partial side is a side that would kick it to a boathouse, if that's what you're saying.
Yes, or a structure,
Or a
yes,
structure.
even a foot.
Right, because it's
Anything
used
more than a
as
roof.
storage,
Yeah,
either, it protrudes down and or used as storage,
Okay.
and it's
alright,
a different use.
okay. Would you like to see the language again? Would you like to,
I'd like to see the language again.
okay,
And just as a procedural, I think seeing the languages again, and then possibly when we get more direction in the future with may or may not have future zoning ordinance amendments as it relates to short-term rentals, we can put it all in one. So that way you're not holding 2 public hearings and publishing things twice.
Sure. I would be
Well,
comfortable
that's
with that.
usually what we do. I think we usually sort of put a parking lot list together of changes we want to make to the ordinance. We sort of hash them out, talk about them similar to this, make changes. And we sort of keep them in that parking lot, and then we sort of, I mean, that, because it's very costly, because we have to publish everything, and, you know, so when we do onesie, twosies, it's very expensive.
Which I understand, but he also will have to take his shed down and re-put his shed back up if we wait too long for that.
Well, I think what it is it's being discussed at planning commission that, and
Okay.
I don't wanna speak on behalf of the building department, by
I
no
think that
means,
makes sense.
but I think, you know, if it's being discussed and it sounds like it's favorable, I'm sure,
Discretion.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
So, if I can,
Yeah, we just have to find out if all that's true.
my name is Nick McCready, 38077 Seaway. So as of right now, I have until I think April 1st with the building department to technically remove the shed. And I know they're being harassed by a member of our homeowners association constantly. So any suggestions on what I should tell the building department?
We'll answer that.
Okay.
If, as I say,
Am I allowed to comment real quick? Sure. Thanks. Hey, I don't mean to throw C. William Bardell, Point Rosa. I don't mean to throw a monkey wrench in, but so now what if you had, what if you had, let's say, okay, a shed, and then 2 gazebos, but not a covered boat well. I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in it, but are you considering a gazebo a structure but not a covered boat well? I mean, that's okay, you know.
No, it is, this is why we're here.
So that's why I just want to know
Which,
what it is. What if you have 2 really nice gazebos that look really good, the feng shui of it and everything's nice, and you got 2 all level, plumb, square, and all that. You know, the right
And
permeable surfaces, and it looks really nice, you know. And you have 1 shed. Would that be okay, or 1 covered boat well, 1 gazebo, and 1 shed? Just, I mean, not to get in the weeds, but what are your thoughts on that? I mean, if it's done right. Not saying I'm gonna do it, but just would like to know how that would be.
Just build one big gazebo.
that is,
Gazebos.
Just one,
so a gazebo does
Let-
count as a structure, which is why
Okay.
we're here,
It's a
and
certain
we had
size.
a little discussion around
let's
this.
say you had like 1 gazebo with, you have a part and you got the in crowd over here, then you got the
so I'm not gonna cut you off,
Yeah.
but I do wanna explain.
other guys over there.
The reason why we're addressing the covered boat
Okay.
well is it's over the water, so it's not a
Oh,
structure over land.
Yeah,
Oh,
so that was
okay.
what I was gonna get to, so
Oh, okay.
we talked about this, cause he does also
Okay.
have a gazebo shed and a covered boat well, so this is the exact scenario you just
Okay.
brought up. And gazebos are considered an accessory structure, which we could go even, I mean, I've thought about this a lot, because he has a built-in gazebo that isn't gonna blow away in a windstorm, but somebody could theoretically have 3 pop-up temporary gazebos on their property, and that's allowed because they're temporary, so, I mean, we could go on about this. I think we,
Permanent one.
like you said, consider maybe not counting the covered boat well because it's over the water versus, on a property.
And to the question, if it's an enforcement issue by your HOA, enforcing the HOA rules, that's outside of our jurisdiction. If it's,
No, they're just pressuring the township to get them tear down the shed.
I would recommend, again, speaking to the building department and possibly the supervisor, they're fully aware that discussions are being held on this.
Right, so we're gonna have minutes, there'll be minutes produced here tomorrow, or next week, early next week.
next week.
Okay, so the whole thing is, the building official gets those, but I would suggest, because we're gonna have this information be captured, so we're going for a revision on the ordinance change, so it's in process. So I think I would just, you may wanna just stop in and talk to the building official and bring that to his attention. I wanna bring a copy of the minutes, I'm sure he's got them, but if you have them in your hand, then we'll just tell him, that we hope to settle this within the next meeting or two, and I'm sure that they will extend, some grace. Again, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but typically they'll be pretty good with that.
So my question for the planning commission, do we want to see new wording brought, and do we want to combine this with an amendment with the possible short-term rentals, or treat this separate?
Short-term rentals, I think, is separate.
Yeah, I think it's gotta be separate, cause I think Adam can get this language drafted by our next meeting. And we could set a public hearing at our next meeting.
Yes.
I would hate to wait until, who knows how long on short-term. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Again, it's just a procedural, so we normally try to group the amendments together. It's my wish. Just because of all the procedural things that come with it, but I fully understand. They're two totally different timeframes, so.
So for now, I will plan to get you updated language with some definition for sides.
Any more discussion from the planning commission, or is? Very good. We don't, yeah, we shouldn't.
I don't think we need a
No,
motion.
No.
Yep, just a discussion. So we did have correspondence.
So, yeah, this is, I read through it, this is kind of a typical thing for a major project, a federal project, so this is Air National Guard Base. As they had indicated, I think they provided a memo when they started to prepare this environmental assessment for the project that would push the runway further to the north. And after going through the NEPA environmental assessment process, they've determined, or their determination is that there's a finding of no significant impact and a finding of no alternatives to the project. So essentially, they're moving forward, and their environmental assessment would support the proposed relocation of the runway to the north.
And this is really just notification.
This is notification. They do provide information if you wanted to still comment on this, you may. But this is generally just notification. They're required to notify us. And other entities like, Chesterfield would get the same notification.
Very good. Any comments from the board, any discussion? Next we have comments from the planner.
Mr. Batcha had sent an email earlier this week asking that I just mention some of the pending proposed state legislation. There was a package of bills that has been proposed in this legislature, and they relate to housing. So the goal of this package of bills is to stimulate more housing across the state of Michigan. The bills would take away local control from townships, villages, cities across the state of Michigan as it relates to various zoning decisions, zoning requirements. It would establish even a minimum lot size for certain communities, urban areas, things of that nature. So there's quite a bit in there, all in the name of kind of furthering, increasing housing affordability, things of that nature. Whether you agree with the premise or not, you may not agree with the means of doing it. It's my understanding, and I've heard from people that I don't think the bills are going to be going anywhere. I don't believe that there's support in the legislature for them to move on. But stranger things have happened. Certainly, personally as a planner, I don't support any legislation that would take away the ability of a local municipality to plan for themselves as you do in your master plan and decide for yourselves what fits the context of Harrison Township in terms of lot sizes and things of that nature. So I certainly do not support the bills. I hope that they don't move forward. I suspect that they won't, but like you say, you never know with the state legislature. But if you'd like to, you can go on the Michigan Townships Association website, for example, would have quite a bit of information about this, give you a detailed summary of the proposed legislation. And there's even like a petition or something that you can sign, which I have signed, stating that you're opposed to it. The Michigan Townships Association is against it. Michigan Municipal League is also against it. So.
I know SEMCOG did a big.
SEMCOG is also
Did a
against
big
it.
press release against it, with a lot of, urban
Sure.
communities represented and non-urban.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your information on that, and for Member Bosher bringing that to our attention to discuss, and it's I always see when a bill like this, if it is tending not to have support, one of two things happens: it dies because it doesn't have support,
Yeah.
or it keeps getting revisions and coming back and coming back and coming back until they finally get a version of it.
It has come
So
back. This is now
I
multiple times.
I appreciate
Yeah.
making sure we're aware, because that would, heavily impact.
Something similar was proposed, I think, in 2025. And then it died at the end of the legislative session, but I believe this is a new one. Now it's re-proposed, so.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any additional comments?
We did have a tech team meeting last week. We had multiple cases on the agenda. My computer battery just died on me, but one was in the industrial district, mechanical equipment. One was in a former church building that wanted to put a shed on their property. One was a individual property owner in the R1D district on the waterfront, a small lot. She was just exploring establishing a house or maybe considering a duplex dwelling. And, oh yeah, the restaurant, what was the name of the restaurant again? The Bridgeview Bistro, looking at some outdoor seating and bollards for the outdoor seating.
They were also looking at their sign, which
Yeah,
is
so
always a
we,
concern because it is
yeah,
very tough to see through that intersection. Now, I'm hoping the new light is a functional light, not a flashing red and yellow, and makes that less a concern, but it is a tough intersection to see.
Would that also require them to put a parking lot in if they're doing outdoor seating?
no.
So they don't,
It does not, and we, every time that she's come in front of us, she actually has plans actually drawn
Okay.
that are shown with the upgraded parking lot.
okay,
And, obviously it's a huge cost.
I get to ask that a lot by people, like,
Yeah.
why don't they have to put
Yeah.
in a parking lot?
And
So-
she showed some things that were, portions of her property are in the right of way right now.
Oh, yeah,
Like the sign, the light pole, and things of that nature, and basically we told her we don't have jurisdiction over that, you're gonna have to talk with the county road, Department of Roads, because it's their jurisdiction. So, all that we could do at the tech team was to take a look at the outdoor, the small pad of outdoor seating.
Thank you for those updates.
Sure.
Comments from the floor?
Nancy Byers, 29210 Grandview. Somebody mentioned the cards that we got in the mail about voting on the STRs. Do we have any idea how many have been returned?
469.
469?
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, and the other thing is, I am getting so tired of this Ruth Motel argument. There are 900 hotel rooms within a 7-mile radius of Harrison Township. I don't think we're lacking places for people to stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, seeing none, next meeting, is scheduled, as long as we have cases, for April 16th, 2026. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Member Duncan, supported by Member Duncan to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.